Welcome, folks. We're here again with the Tuesday Night Cigar Club podcast, live from Cats Fest 3 in
San Antonio.
We're here with one of our favorite. I'm not going to pull punches. Anyone who watches,
uncomfortable position. Right?
anyone who sits with us in the Tuesday Night Cigar Club knows that we're unabashed fans of Joya de Nicaragua. And today we got Juan Martinez here, president of Joya de Nicaragua. And thank you for being here for one. What is it? I'll just get off the bat. What is it about Cats Fest that brings you guys here every year to support? There's so many online social groups and kind of cigar things. What is it about Cats Fest that brings you guys here?
Well, we have. First of all, thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure being here. Not only with you guys, but the Cats Fest. This is personally my first time being here. It's a great honor to be sharing this spot with such a great crowd. What makes this interesting for us is one of the few, if not the only, event that is actually organized by the consumers or by groups. There's no company behind it. There's no retailer. There's no cigar company organizing this. Yeah. And that makes this interesting because this is sort of a grassroots movement. It started as a Facebook group. It has evolved to a community in very fraternal, and they've opened the doors to us as obviously brands and sponsors. And it's, in that sense, it's great. It's different because the feeling is different. You don't have
a really good
corporate sponsor behind it or corporate organizer. It's just you guys working your asses off to have us here, man.
It's been so cool to see Storm. I knew Storm right before Cats, right before he kind of started all this, and to see where it's come is just, especially with such a good guy behind it. It's really cool.
For us, it actually started obviously via Storm and Jonathan Drew introducing us to Storm. But it started as a support to the Cigars For Warriors. Knowing that Storm and the group are veterans, even though we're Nicaraguans, I'm Nicaraguan. We don't have any interests in the United States other than our distribution of the product. We appreciate and we value the work that these guys have done, sacrificing their lives, their families to defend the world, basically. So, as a form of appreciation, we started supporting Cigar For Warriors since day one, since the first time we met. And it has evolved since then, and Cats is a reflection of that effort, of that support.
I couldn't agree more. We're huge Cigars For Warriors. We talk them up as much as we can. It's interesting, especially to non-cigar folks, when you kind of start telling about all the organizations and what they do. It's kind of eye-opening for non-cigar smokers to see how active the cigar community is.
It's a powerful thing when you think about it, and that's what moved us initially to support the cause. When you think about this group of men and women fighting abroad, sacrificing their livelihood to defending freedom, they are there and they're away from home, from their family, and a cigar, such a simple product, gives them the comfort. At the end of the evening, when they're trying to relax a little bit, in how much you can possibly relax under that circumstance, a cigar gives them some form of comfort. Sure. And that simple fact, and it was one of the veterans who shared that experience with us. He even posted a photo in social media smoking in Joya de Nicaragua, and that testimony for us was very powerful. More powerful than any other possible thing, not an advertisement, not a massive event, anything. Just that simple experience was so powerful that we said we need to be on board with this.
Awesome. Yeah, very awesome.
Well, with the band going, can I get you to come closer to the mic?
Yeah, sorry about that.
No problem.
Yeah, they kind of kicked up the guitars there in the last. How's it?
Yeah,
it's better. Is that right there?
Yeah.
Okay, cool deal. Well, and I think I mentioned this to you last night. The Antano 1970 was the first premium cigar that got me hooked. I can't remember the last time I didn't have a drawer full at home. It's my one go-to cigar over the last few years. Red is come on to be a favorite. Rosalona is just. The hits keep coming. What do you have coming out? Anything you can tell us what coming up in the future?
First of all, thank you very much for giving us the honor of being the first premium cigar that you enjoyed. Every time we meet people, and we meet a lot of people like that, because our brand has been around for many, many years. It was actually the first time it was exported to the U.S. was in 1968, the year that the factory was established in Nicaragua. So we got a lot of not only young guys like you, but also older crowd whose first cigar was a Joya de Nicaragua. And for us, that's a privilege, because even if they don't continue to smoke it today, it was their first memory.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more powerful than your first memory of something, especially of something that you love so much like cigars.
And I think it's a testament too to your workers and your factory that it's one of the most, not just the 1970, but Hoyas are to me one of the most consistent. Every single stick.
Exactly.
It's going to taste exactly what you. There's no surprise.
We try as hard as we can. It's a handmade product made with natural products.
Such an imperfect product. It's amazing the consistency.
We try to keep it as controlled as possible. In our case, Joya de Nicaragua, more than a brand, even though Antaño 1970 was the first cigar you tried, you smoked, for us, is the embodiment of not only the tobacco grown in our country, but also of the people who work that product. Handmade cigars are a completely human-centered activity. Every single step in our process is controlled and executed by a person that transmits its experience, its talent, their mood, and their love for the product in each part of the steps. And Antaño 1970 being one of the most popular brands coming from Nicaragua, it's also a symbol of the country, an embodiment of the quality of the products that we as a country bring to the world. Not only flavor, strength, consistency, but also the whole experience. Nicaragua, and that's why we're proud of having the name of our country in our brand. Because it's not just cigars or just rums or just coffee. It's the whole experience. It's the people, the environment, the richness of culture that we have. And in a way, we as a company, we're not selling a cigar. We are basically selling a country and a whole experience. And that what makes you enjoying that cigar even more rich, because you're able to have that experience too.
It makes perfect sense, and I just. I think as far as being a representative cigar of a country, as of a culture, you guys just do an amazing job, and thank you for supporting Cats. Thank you for making great cigars. What we do on our show, every episode, we start out as independent filmmakers. So we review a film, we pair it with a cigar, and we do it from an Irish pub in Temple, Texas, so Brian's Irish Pub. And we pair it with a craft beer or bourbon or whatever makes sense to go with the film. We try to tie all three. It gets tricky sometimes.
Yeah.
What's one of your favorite pairings? If you're gonna sit down and pick a cigar and a drink.
Well, it depends. Depends where I'm at or what am I doing.
Sure.
Generally, I smoke cigars and drink coffee. I'm a coffee addict. As much as I love cigars, I love coffee. At night, I generally go via rum, Flor de Caña, particularly the great Nicaraguan rum, or some scotch, some whiskey. That would be my, at least at the moment.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, I went through the bourbon phase. So I went through, smoking with bourbon, especially being here in events like this, you get exposed to different things that back home we don't get.
Yeah.
So every time I can buy some special thing at the airport or some liquor store, I bring it back home. So
that's a good way to do it. We've discovered doing the show, we're drinking stuff that we never would, I've been stuck in a bourbon phase for about 20 years now. So, I'm kind of having my eyes open to some different stuff. But okay, well, we do need to do a Flor de Caña, a rum. I know that's, we don't do a lot of mixed spirits, but that seems to be a universal with.
You have the Flor de Caña 7 or the Flor de Caña 12. Both are great rums. For me, some of the best in the world. So it's something that I usually, when I'm in, public activities or stuff like that, we generally try Flor de Caña.
Okay. One last question we ask everybody: what's your favorite movie?
My personal favorite movie, I would say, would be Big Lebowski.
Big Lebowski. Big Lebowski fan over here.
I watched it the first time when starting university, and it was like a turning point for me and my colleagues and my friends when we watched that movie. We're coming from high school to the university, and it wasn't just a cool movie. It represented a lot of, not only a philosophical and spiritual journey, but also the way of looking at life. The dude, you can't change that. And it's becoming like a symbol for our generation.
Everyone has that one movie that means that to them, that kind of hits them, and maybe they didn't even know movies could hit them like that, on that many levels. So very cool answer. Okay.
Now there's although it's not my favorite movie, but it's one of the recent movies that I watched that I would recommend, even though it's not a great movie per se. I think the issue that it touches is quite interesting. It's called Kill the Messenger. Have you seen it?
No.
It's a movie. Came out last year.
Yeah, it's got Jeremy Renner.
Yeah.
Hawkeye.
Yeah. It's a movie. It's interesting because we talk a lot about our history of our country, and there are a lot of movies and a lot of TV shows that they always refer to Nicaragua, either because of a war, of a revolution, or something, some arms trading or drug trading Nicaragua. So a lot of people get that impression of Nicaragua. This movie in particular tells the story of how a journalist uncovered almost a conspiracy by which the U.S. government was undercoverly financing a war against the country, against Nicaragua, in the 1980s.
Oh, I didn't realize it was based in Nicaragua.
It's based on that thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's interesting if you want to discuss it, because for us as a country, that's a turning point. We had a revolution in 1979. We have a civil war that happened after the revolution, and we as a country are defined by what happened during that era. So even though it's not completely historically accurate, it gives you at least an idea of a different perspective of what happened during that era. So it is a good discussion starter too.
Well, that's what we're all about.
We're all about.
So we will, kill the messenger.
Kill the messenger.
Paired with some Flor de Cana rum.
Yeah.
And what should we smoke? What's a good?
Smoke, anything coming from Nicaragua, but preferably something coming from Joya de Nicaragua.
Absolutely.
Can be, depending on what you're pairing it with, it can be an Antaño 1970 or an Antaño Darko Rojo if you're, in the evening after a full meal and stuff like that. Those are two, very rich cigars.
Yeah, the Dark Antonio would be a good one.
Both are authentic Nicaraguan cigars, made with 100% Nicaraguan tobaccos, and in a way, both of them, all of our cigars do, but those particularly capture the essence of Nicaraguan tobacco. Richness of strength and richness of flavor while being smooth. So those are two.
And it is such a unique flavor. Not just but I mean, they're very rarely. I mean, we'll smoke a cigar and hey, this reminds me of, cigars will remind you of other cigars. It doesn't, and I don't really do that with Joya products. They're just unique.
We've specialized in working with Nicaraguan tobacco. We started the trend basically. Obviously, we're the first factory that started using Nicaraguan tobacco. So we started the trend and not honking our own horn in any way, but we were the first one to truly use Nicaraguan tobacco. And Nicaraguan tobacco is very special. And the reason is that Nicaragua, not only its weather, its climate, but also the soil in Nicaragua is very rich. It's a volcanic country. We have 19 volcanoes in the country, of which about 7 are active.
Yeah.
Right now we're having 2 volcanoes doing eruptions.
So you get some richness there.
So you have, the soil is very rich in minerals and nutrients. Obviously comes from the ground, from the deep core of the earth.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the volcanic region playing that.
That's the most important. There are a lot of factors that make Nicaraguan tobacco so special, but that would be for us the most important one, because being the soil so rich in mineral and nutrients allows the plant to grow stronger, bigger, and obviously absorb those minerals, that energy from the ground, and that gives it its own particular strength and its own particular flavor. That's why you can have the same seed planted in Nicaragua versus the same seed planted in Dominican Republic or in Ecuador, and it will taste completely different. Generally, it will have more body and more strength from Nicaragua because of that. So any tobacco coming from Nicaragua will have that particularity. Depends also on the variety and the technique that you use to plant it, but it will give you that, and that's why we feel that Nicaraguan tobacco is so popular nowadays. Some of the world's most important manufacturers are using Nicaraguan tobacco for their own blends, even though they're manufacturing in another country.
Yeah.
And they're using the Nicaraguan last name. You have so many brands nowadays.
Oh, they're just everywhere.
Even though they're not originally from the country, they use Nicaraguan because they recognize the value of that product, and obviously that makes us proud too.
And I love it. I mean, especially when I talk to non-cigar smokers, usually the first thing they bring up is still Cubans, and when they ask, what do you smoke, and you say Nicaragua, you just kind of, it's like, yeah, Nicaragua.
Yeah, I was actually Dominican when I met him. I was straight Dominican.
I turned him fast.
He handed me into the 1970, and yeah, I've been mostly Nicaraguan ever since.
I appreciate that. Cuban tobacco is great tobacco. Dominican tobacco, both are great tobacco. In fact, I'm prejudiced to all tobaccos, but there are substantial differences in the geography where these tobaccos are cultivated. The Dominican Republic and Cuba are islands. They are limited by the dimensions of the island and by the particular climate of the Caribbean. In our case, our tobaccos are grown at higher altitudes. We have a wider, more area to cultivate tobaccos. Different regions. We can have tobacco grown in Esteli at 800 meters over sea level. In the valley of Jalapa, which is to the north, which is one of the most beautiful valleys on earth, and 400 meters over sea level. Then we have tobacco grown in the Ometepe Island, which is an island, the only island made out of two volcanoes in the center of the Nicaraguan lake. And the whole islands are two volcanoes. Imagine two volcanoes together, and we grow tobacco in that region. So the profile of that tobacco is completely different from what we get in the north or in the mountains. And that allows you to have more diversity of complexity, strength, and flavor versus the other ones that are limited geographically.
Sure, to have all those tools available to you from those different regions is just, I mean, the proof's in the pudding. It's just it really shows in the complexity of the sticks and
Now that doesn't mean that a completely Nicaraguan cigar is the best. You can blend with all tobaccos. The Dominican tobacco adds some qualities. The Honduran tobacco adds some qualities. We use tobaccos in our factory from Mexico, from Indonesia, from Cameroon, from Peru, from Ecuador. So when you combine all those tobaccos together, you create a beautiful mix, but always what the outstanding characteristic is Nicaraguan tobacco. That would be the one that always stands out.
And like I said, the proof's in the pudding. You guys do an amazing job of it. I want to thank Juan Martinez for sitting down with us. Thank you for supporting CATS. Thank you for supporting Cigars for Warriors. All things we're passionate about. And thanks for the education. Thank you very much.
Always welcome. There's so much history, information, and heritage that we can share as an industry that anytime that we get the opportunity to sit in front of a mic or a camera to share this knowledge with the consumer, it's a great opportunity.
One of our goals is to get down to Cigar Safari and tour your facility and do some blending and kind of get our hands dirty. And
I promise you that everything that you know today, everything that you think that you know today, will become second to none. Will become secondary to what you will experience when you get down there. You can read as much as you can about tobacco and about cigars. You can watch as many videos as you can. You can come to as many events as you can, and you can smoke as many cigars as you can. And you think that you know the most. But once you get there and you experience that, and you see the people working with their hands, when you touch the soil, when you see the plants growing in the fields, when you smell the tobaccos being processed, being fermented, when you see the differences in the leaves, this is the final product. This is basically, manufactured after a long process. But when you see the basics of the leaves, of how the leaves are treated, how they're moistured, how they are humidified, how they're deveined, how they're classified, how they're selected, when you all see those steps, that will change completely your perspective about smoking. And the next time you light up a cigar, because ultimately you burn, you put fire into a product, you destroy the product. Enjoying it while you're destroying it, it'll change completely the way you buy a cigar and you smoke a cigar.
That's a great perspective, and
that's an awesome perspective.
It is.
You guys don't realize it, but from this cigar to get to your hands, went through at least 350 pairs of hands. From the moment that the seed was planted to the moment it reached your hand. It spent that tobacco leaf was probably planted somewhere between 2010 2011. So combine all the time, all the energy of all the people working, there's a lot of work behind every single product. And what do?
Kill it.
You kill it.
Kill it with fire.
It's like, only drinking and smoking, you destroy the product. But in that process of destruction, you have a level of enjoyment that no other product gives you. That level of satisfaction that you give and the pleasure that gives you a cigar, I would say that no other product in the world gives you.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. So good deal. Well, we are going to be watching The Big Lebowski. We're going to be drinking some rum. We'll let you know when it comes out.
Very good.
And just again, thank you so much.
And again, for controversy, go watch the
Kill the Messenger.
Kill the Messenger. Just so for a little comment. Again,
I've got
not
Kill the Messenger
historically
written
accurate,
down.
but at least it's a controversial topic, and it gives you a different perspective of history, of what happened, and the role that the U.S. had in countries like my country, the involvement that they had, even though things are great now, in the past they didn't necessarily haven't been so.
Okay. Scratch Lebowski. We've all seen it. We'll do Kill the Messenger.
I did.
All right. Juan,
Thank you.
I've already got it
so much.
written down.
No, you got a lot of people waiting to talk to you,
Thank
so
you very
really
much,
appreciate
man.
taking a few
Appreciate
minutes.
it. Now it's your turn, though. I promise you that, both of you.
What time, sorry?
It's your turn. Both
What
of
about
you.
it?
You have to give me an interview.
He's
No, I do an exercise. Every time I travel, I try to get people's testimony about the cigar, because unless you go down there and you meet the people, these people never get the opportunity to listen or see you guys enjoy the product. So we're very centered in our people, in our team. So we're trying to do like video testimony of everybody saying, it's your first cigar.
I'd be honored.
What did it mean to you to smoke its first cigar to be the Joya de Nicaragua? And if you can, also the same for you.
yeah, you got it.
It's just 10 seconds, 15 seconds.
No,
nothing.